Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm your friend Tori, a HBIC student. Today I'm going to talk about a text called 12 Angry Men. To begin with, there's a short introduction of the text. The author of the text, Reginald Rose, was born in 1920 in Manhattan and spent his young high school, college year, and adult life in New York City. His 1954 teleplay 12 Angry Men established his name in the literary world and is his famous work. In the story, 12 jurors retire to the jury room as murder trial concludes. The charge is murder in the first degree, and the judge reminds the jurors that they must base their unanimous decision of guilty or not guilty on whether or not there is reasonable doubt in their minds as to the guilt of the accused. The accused is a youth from a poor urban area who is on trial for killing his father with a switch knife. The case should have a definitive result, but a man's worry and hesitation cast a new shadow of doubt over the case. During the trial, the defense lawyer represented the client in court. They provide evidence and arguments to challenge the prosecution cases and protect the rights for their client, involved cross-examining witnesses, making persuasive arguments, and presenting complex legal concepts in a way that is easy for a jury to understand. What's more, the defense needs to challenge any evidence or testimony obtained for the illegal means, such as forced confessions or illegal searches and surgeries. So, in the podcast, we will talk about the debatable evidence shown in the text and analyze whether the evidence is sufficient to convict the boy of the crime. Furthermore, the podcast will discuss if the jury discussion is reasonable based on real-life law knowledge. Greetings, listeners. Have you ever struggled with legal issues in your life or work? Have you ever been unfairly treated for your lack of legal knowledge? Now, as long as you purchase our service at CTG Law Firm, you will no longer be troubled by these problems. We will give you the best defense service, the best legal counsel in the world. Now, what are you waiting for? Top-touch legal services are waiting for you. So let's begin our today's topic with a quote. He may have been a little bit off on the speed that the old cripple moved at, but 24 seconds off, well, now you know. Through the simulation of the sighting scene, the jurors found it was almost impossible that the old man could get to the door and see the boy run downstairs in such a short time. The use of colloquial language shows the 11th juror's pause in his word. Based on psychoanalytic criticism, these words indicate his subconscious doubt and unconscious resistance to his original decision. This reflects the juror's hesitation and shows his uncertainty and doubt about the reliability of the testimony, indicating the beginning of a reversal of the case. Then let's move on. For the preliminary analyzing of one of the debatable pieces of evidence, various doubts about the case surfaced. That led jurors to revisit older testimony and evidence. As the discussion continued, the inconsistencies in the evidence become more apparent, further increasing the likelihood that the accused would be acquitted. In order to make a fairer judgment, the text highlights the importance of examining every detail of the trial, setting the stage for the next evidence, which is being doubted and discussed later. Then let's see another evidence. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father was 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's a difference of 6 inches. It's a very awkward thing to spat down into a chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are. By emphasizing the awkwardness of stabbing situation, the speaker might be use his own feeling of discomfort onto the situation, serving as an embodiment of his tendency to doubt the warned evidence, shows a kind of projection between the juror and the accused, for psychoanalytic criticism. Then, in the next quote, "In my backward, on my stoop, in the vacancy lot across the street, too many of them, switch knives came with the neighborhood where I lived. Funny that I didn't think of it before. I guess you try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a switch knife would never have stabbed downward." Another juror further discussed the question, making a contribution to the enhancement of the doubt of the evidence. Besides, the repetition of location emphasized the universality of switch knives in the speaker's neighborhood, enhancing the credibility of the juror's word and discussing ability of the evidence. So, in conclusion, this word shows the jurors' fairness and reason in discussing the case, showing their well performance in doing their duty as jurors. What's more, another doubt of the case has appeared and tilted the balance of judgment towards to not guilty. Now let's talk about the final doubtful point of the evidence and give a reasonable explanation of the final decision from the jury. Then the last quote. "She couldn't have had time to put on her glasses then. Now perhaps this woman honestly thought she saw the boy kill his father. I say that she only saw a blur." Based on the common practice, the jury found that the short-sized woman was not able to put on her glasses in such a short time to accurately witness the murder scenes, and concluded that the woman's testimony of witnessing the crime was highly probably wrong. Through the use of psychoanalytic criticism, the woman's testimony seems to be caused by her anxiety at the possibility of witnessing a murder, which led to her sense of urgency to find the killer and caused her misjudgment about the killer, making the testimony present in a way that makes it seem that the boy is the murderer. The suspicion towards the reliability of the woman's testimony has been confirmed by several logical discussion. After this, the discussion of the evidence that was being discussed have been confirmed as not strong enough to prove the boy is guilty. Under such circumstances, most of the jurors have been convinced and vote for not guilty. The outcome of the case has almost been decided. Once the trial has concluded, a juror has an obligation to consider the evidence and work with the other juror members in order to reach a verdict. Here's a quote from a website that teaches law knowledge. So based on this, the real-life jury system, the discussion among the jury in the text really meets the requirements of real life as well as embody the superiority of this system, showing the effectiveness of the jury system. We have already finished the exploration of the reversal of the case showing the text now, from discussing the reliability of the evidence to analyzing the reasonability of the decision in the case. Now, let us transition to another perspective and analyze the trial based on a real-life example. During an interview with a teacher from the Student and Administration Center, we can get several pieces of information here. So, in the interview, we invited Mr. Zhang, the Dean of Student Administration in Huameibang International School. In the interview, we had a detailed discussion about the punishment system for students. Amongst them, the discussion of the penalty dispute and the jury system also formed a connection. The dismissal will be discussed at the Executive Council first, and then implemented after discussion and confirmation at the meeting. From Mr. Zhang's response, we can get that the evidence discussion is widely used in real life, just like it was being used in school. This phenomenon further reinforcing the reasonability and the effectiveness of the jury system and proving the rationality of the discussion in this paper. Okay, now we have already finished discussing all the debatable evidence showing the text and the fairness of the judgment. And that brings us to the end of our program. Finally, we are going to make the final argument. Based on various flaws in the evidence and the unreliability of the evidence, I think the evidence is not strong enough to prove the criminal fact. So, I think the boy is not guilty, consistent with the jury's decision. So that is all for today's discussion. What about you? Do you think the boy is guilty or not guilty? Give your opinion if you want. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I will look for your comments and participation in the next video. See you!